Hi, welcome to our podcast, Broker Banner Denver, where we are breaking down barriers to home ownership. I'm your host, Kim Davis, the real estate expert.
And I'm Patrick Williams, the mortgage guy. We're here to inform and educate about the home buying and financing process.
And on today's episode, we're actually going to start a series where we talk about different areas in the Denver metro area. We are going to talk about Denver downtown proper, kind of mostly city of Denver.
Yeah,
So-
Denver proper.
Right.
And the most expensive zip codes in Denver. And then I think as we go through the series, we're going to kind of break down the metro area. Maybe like in quadrants, we'll kind of talk about south and north and east and west. Yeah.
And so whether you are from out of town and don't know the Denver metro area, or you have lived in Denver but don't know the other areas of Denver, we're just hoping to educate you a little bit on our thoughts of Denver, being that we have both lived here. Well, me since the 90s, you're native.
Yeah, I'm a native. So since the 80s. And then, I've pretty much lived I haven't lived on the west side of town, which I know which is where
And
you
I
live.
have.
Yeah,
Pretty
so
much most of my Denver life.
you've lived on the west side of town. So I think we can cover the majority of, and maybe provide some helpful insights to people who are starting to consider moving to the Denver area and what part of town they would like to be in.
Or just relocating somewhere in the Denver metro area, which is what I deal with a lot. So
a lot of people move across town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But before we get there, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
I'm good. The weather's been nice. We had a fun time up in Keystone for my birthday.
Yes.
No, not too many shenanigans. I know we talked about that a little bit.
We did talk a little bit about that.
I am kind of old, so it depends on what shenanigans, were there maybe some...
Well, we're all about day drinking and then going to bed by 10 o'clock. I think that's a great...
I think day drinking is a little underrated, to be honest with you. You start drinking early and then you can go to bed early.
Yeah.
Get a good night's sleep.
That's what I'm talking about.
And start skiing again the next day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Have that recovery time. And,
Exactly. Yeah. So we did a little bit of that. Right. I think there were maybe some mimosas drank in the morning and a couple runs, and then maybe some hot tub drinks and and some stogies in the hot tub.
Right.
So yeah, it was really fun.
You had a good crew up there.
It was fun.
Yeah.
We had a really
well,
good
happy
time.
birthday.
Yeah.
I think we've been talking about it for a couple of weeks.
We have. It's a big deal, I mean,
he's
really.
44.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
Just in case anybody was wondering. Yes, so 1980 is when I started living in Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So once again, native.
Yeah, exactly. So
Well, I didn't move here until 1990, so I was in junior high school. Grew up in Golden, and then started moving around. I moved out of Colorado once at 18 and came back 3 months later. It was horrible.
3 months.
Yeah, I moved to Florida. Didn't you live in Florida?
I lived in Florida too. It took me a lot longer than 3 months to get out of there. It's funny. People always say Colorado's a place you move to. You don't move from. Once people get here, they realize what a great place it is to be, and they don't leave.
The weather is really great here, I think, and I think that's the number one thing that people think, that it's so snowy and
You're
cold.
right. No, it's kind of a secret.
Yeah.
Denver does have a pretty temperate climate. You don't realize that you get 40 to 50 degree sunny days in January.
Well, 40, 50 degrees Colorado dry heat is different than 45, 50 degrees in, let's say, California with the
or
humidity.
Florida.
Or Florida.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the cold, humid.
It's been cold there. My mom still lives down there, and she's been complaining to me all winter long about how cold and damp and wet it has been. And I try to understand that, she is in Florida and it is cold there, because I do remember getting into the 30s in Florida, and
It's cold. It's a different kind of cold.
Yeah, it's bone chilling with the humidity.
Right.
So.
Humidity does help you not age as fast as far as your face. So that's a bad thing as far as living in
You got to
dry
moisturize.
climate.
I mean, that's a big deal, right? You got to make sure you got some chapstick and some moisturizing cream.
Well, I'm against chapstick, but I don't know if we need to talk about that.
Oh, I think maybe we should. That sounds like what? Why do you mean? You live in Colorado and you're against chapstick?
I'm not against it. I just think it has addicting properties in it, and so you should just use lip gloss.
Okay, I'm not using lip gloss.
I think you would look great. A little sheen on your lips.
That's exactly what I need. I'm not promoting any specific lip
Right.
ointment, but I've got a Burt's Bees tube pretty much everywhere
I
I
know.
go. I got one in my desk at my office, one in my desk at home, in my car,
Same
in
with your
my
wife, same with half of our friends. Hey,
Yeah.
who has chapstick? Does anyone have chapstick? Do you have chapstick? Hey, my lips are dry. Who has chapstick? Chapstick.
So that's what you're
Geez.
saying is that you start using it and then your lips need the moisture.
Yes.
And so if I just let them crack and bleed, eventually I'll overcome my need for Burt's
Maybe
Bees.
Vaseline.
I'm not putting
or
Vaseline on my lips. I do see people do, what's the other one that's like?
Carmex.
Carmex,
No?
that's
Carmex
old school.
is addicting.
My
yeah.
mom had, do you
used to
remember
love
the
Carmex
old
in junior
like
high.
glass, like where you put your finger, it's got the yellow cap on it?
Yeah,
the
Carmex,
old
that
school
was-
one.
yeah, yeah.
No, but there's a lot of people. What's the other one?
The one that looks like an egg, EOS.
No,
Or-
anyways, I know a lot of people have been using that. It's like I think they use it for like diaper rashes and stuff too, or like,
Oh,
what is that one called?
Eucerin? No, it's not Eucerin.
No, that's
It's-
one though.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I know
it'll
what
come
you're
to us.
talking
If it
about.
comes to
Yeah.
you,
Aquaphor. It's
nice
Aquaphor.
job. Yeah, don't you hate that? Do you remember the days when you
That's called,
didn't?
That's called aging too. Memory
Yeah,
loss.
well, but you know what? Before the days of the Google machine, where
Yes.
you would have to figure it out on your
I
own, you
know.
couldn't just be like, Google it. Let's find
Right.
out what we're trying to think of.
Someone grab an encyclopedia.
What's that?
Or, that Friends episode where Joey's like can't afford it, so he buys like Z or X or something like
Just
that.
the last
one-
edition?
Yeah, just one letter. He can afford one letter. So that's funny.
Well, I think we just dated ourselves
I know.
a little
Well,
bit.
I think everyone here knows we are in our 40s.
We are in our 40s.
Some earlier, some
and,
later.
And you know what? With age comes experience.
it comes some wisdom, hopefully.
And hopefully, maybe some wisdom. And we hope to put that experience to use for you out
Yes,
there in helping buy your
absolutely.
first or second or third, for that matter, home.
Yeah, exactly. Or
Yeah.
fourth or fifth, whatever number
Whatever-
home you're
whatever-
at.
yeah,
We can
whatever you
handle
need.
anything from first-time home buyers to investors to, third, fourth house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think we were going to talk today about this article that came out on KDVR, Fox 31. They use a lot of Zillow stats, but they kind of did a compilation of the most expensive zip codes in
They
the
did.
Denver metro area. Well, no, not Denver metro area, just
Not
Denver.
the metro. Denver proper, which I don't know if people realize how small Denver actually is.
Right. So Denver proper and Denver, I mean, what...
I mean, the different, like Denver, you think of the Denver metro area, right?
right.
The entire C470 corridor, if you
Right.
will. So that's what I think when people say Denver. But the actual city of Denver is
Denver.
very small. It's not a big city. So it's pretty compact, and I think some of these areas we're going to be like really dialing down because you have a
Right.
lot of different neighborhoods in Denver, and so they're going to break down. I think it looks at price per square foot. Is that
It
how
does.
they?
It does look at price per square foot. And so the first zip code, that's the most expensive Denver area zip code, was 80202. And this was encompassing the Central Business District, the Union Station neighborhood, includes most of downtown, ranging from 14th to 20th Street. And like I said, this is... they use the stats from Zillow, so they're saying
Yeah.
it's about $553 per square foot. So a lot of high raises, probably.
So don't you think that these numbers are a little skewed in the downtown area because we do like a high-rise apartment is going to be smaller in square footage and the
Correct.
price point is going to be much higher, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I think and I think that you moved downtown for access to, sporting
Convenience,
events.
convenience,
Yeah, great
walkability.
restaurants, walkability, right? Buell, if you want to
absolutely.
go, to
I do
Buell
think,
Theater.
I mean, I know we just said how old we are. I lived downtown, but I was, in my
In your
20s.
20s.
Yeah. And so there is the allure of being able to walk.
Right.
If I was working downtown, I think that would be a much different story.
Yes.
The majority of my offices have always been in the tech center.
Right.
I have worked downtown when I was with Wells Fargo.
Right. So for people who don't know, Denver Tech Center, southeast.
Yeah,
Denver
right,
Metro.
right. I would say south side, just
Yeah.
along I-25
Yeah.
as you get past Hamden.
I would say southeast, but that's because I live in the
Because
west.
you're on the west. I think it's just straight south because it kind of divides I-25. It's on each side of I-25.
Oh, but it's the east. Okay.
I
the
digress.
Eastern.
Yeah, so 80202. So we're looking at really the main center of
Denver,
downtown,
yes.
14th to 20th. You know, what is it, like Broadway to probably Wazee or
yeah, or
Wine
something
Coop
like
or
that,
something
yeah.
like that. Okay.
Okay, and then number 2 is the second most expensive zip code, 80209 or 80209, where home prices are topping at $532 per square foot, and that includes the Washington Park area, or as we say, Wash Park.
Yes.
Belcaro, Cherry Creek, and the Spear neighborhood, which I consider Cherry Creek, ranging from Ellsworth Avenue to Mississippi, east and west from Colorado Boulevard to Broadway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that area, Wash Park's fantastic.
Wash Park is great.
It is. It's one of my favorite areas. If I was going to live in Central Denver, I would want to be close to Wash Park.
Yeah, it's a great area, and I love the park. You know,
Yeah.
they do. I think 5Ks. I think around. It's
There's-
smaller, but it's
It's it's got a
it's
good
nice.
running track,
Yeah.
and they've changed the way that the traffic flows through it. There's like a bike lane
Yes.
now and a walking lane.
Yes.
There's a lot of people rollerblading again.
Yes.
Have you seen that coming back? Lots of people out there
Yay,
rollerblading.
90s.
Yeah. So that's cool.
I got
and
my first pair of rollerblades when I was 18.
Okay.
Moved to Florida.
What-
Was
oh.
rollerblading down the boardwalk and stuff, and then I felt really not great because back in those days, everyone rollerbladed, and they were so good.
yeah, I got
Great.
mine. So I got mine. I think I was like 13 or 14.
Okay.
So like
Probably about the same
90,
year.
yeah, probably 93 ish. I don't know when they, I mean, they
Okay.
just kind of blew up, right? And everybody was rollerblading. The best I never did like skate park or anything like that
Oh.
with them,
Okay.
but I could do like a
Full
360.
360?
Yeah. I was pretty proud of that. I can still do it on ice skates.
Yeah.
We went ice skating this year. I can still do
Aren't
it.
you working on a 180 though on skis?
Yeah, I didn't really want to bring that up.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay.
So we did talk about that I was going to try that, and I did kind of like play with it a little bit, and then I realized I am 44 years old, and if I jump and catch an edge coming around, I am probably gonna like
Well, you could hurt yourself, or it just takes a couple of weeks to recover. That's all.
couple weeks. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I'm on-
maybe in my 20s a couple weeks. In 40 it might be a couple
Well,
months.
you're wearing a helmet. And,
It's true.
I mean, how big
I
of a
did-
fall?
I mean,
a
it
good
shouldn't
yard
be-
sale every now and then just means that you're trying.
I know. We did hit the terrain park though, and
You
and I
did.
did hit a couple of those jumps, and I think even the small jumps were like they boosted me. Yeah, and I was
lot
like,
bigger.
oh, that's scarier than I thought it was going to be. So I think I need to start small. And my wife has been working on her jumping.
Yeah, she looks great. She's
She-
doing awesome.
Yeah, she's getting a lot of air.
Yeah,
I was like,
she
holy
really
cow. Yeah, she's doing great. So, we're still working on. We're still working on
still
the
working
180.
on the 180.
Yeah,
Hey, season's not
I
over.
can
Still
do
have
it
time.
on the snow.
Right.
So I need to just start like jumping
Jumping.
and turning and doing it all in one
Right.
motion. Yeah.
I think you can hit your goal before the end of the ski season.
Okay,
I mean,
well-
beginning of March. March is the
it's coming. We're
snowiest.
coming close here. March is the snowiest month, but
Mm-hmm.
I start getting. We spring forward here soon, and I start once we spring forward. My mentality switches to mountain
Oh,
bikes.
well.
So
You haven't landed the 180
I
yet.
know.
So until that happens, I think you might have to
I might-
concentrate on skiing a little bit more.
I might have to. So here, as I was looking through this list, I was a little curious. Okay, so I looked up some stats about Cherry Hills Village because
Okay.
Cherry Hills Village is not in Denver; it's more on the south end of town. But that is kind of known. Like John Elway had a place in Cherry Hills Village, and that's where Russell Wilson
It's currently selling a
currently
house.
selling. Yeah,
Yes.
imagine that. So it is known as kind of a nicer
Right.
area.
There's definitely
and
a lot of Avs players and I'm sure baseball players. So a lot of
Yeah.
professional sports people live in the Cherry Creek.
And I think the median listing price, so in January, was $4.3 million in Cherry
Right.
Hills Village, and that actually equates to a $604 price per square foot. So it's actually higher than any of these areas that we're looking at.
Well, these are 500. You said 400. Right.
604.
604. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I thought you said 404.
Yeah, 604. So,
So
I think it
wonder
is
why, probably
specifically
because it's
not
not
Denver.
Denver proper.
Yeah,
Right.
So maybe as we
Well,
discuss the different
Cherry
areas,
Hills is considered their own city.
correct?
Yep. And Greenwood Village is also considered their own city. And both of those are right just to the south.
Yeah.
You know, they butt up to one another just to the south of Denver. So we could probably talk a little bit more about, I
Okay.
mean, that area. Well, I guess we can
We can-
include it in
yeah,
here
let's-
because they're
let-
more central.
Yeah, but we can shelf that and we can talk about it as we kind of explore the bigger
Right.
Denver metro area. I was just curious if it was taking into account the
Right.
whole metro area, because I did know
And
that
it's not,
and
right,
it's not.
it's
We're talking
Denver.
Denver
like
proper.
It has to be
So
in
as
the
we-
city of Denver.
Exactly.
Correct. So there's, because I believe Cherry Hills is one and Greenwood Village is two. So
Okay.
As far as like in the Denver metro area, the whole Denver metro area.
Gotcha.
Not including Denver, right?
Gotcha.
But then I guess we can go through 3 and 4 really quick. So 3 is 80211. That is a $530 price per square foot. And then 80212, which they're basically the same. They butt up to each other. And this is like the Sloan's Lake,
Highlands.
Highlands, Sunnyside, Berkeley neighborhoods.
Yep, yep.
I remember when that was just, not really the greatest place to live. And
No,
now
we
it
called
is-
the Highlands the North Side
Yeah.
growing up. So that was not always the nicest part of town.
I remember when they started, I mean, it's been probably 20
I would say
years-ish, maybe 15, 16 years. That
the
Highlands
beginning
became-
probably was 20
At the very
years ago.
beginning, yep.
Yeah.
I remember when they started revamping that whole area, and it's great.
It is great.
The whole downtown kind of Highlands area. is
Yeah, I
great.
mean they built a walkway over 25, so you can just walk straight
Yes.
over to downtown
Yes.
from the Highlands.
Right.
And I think it probably, looking back when Denver, the housing market here started to really become very popular, I would say Wash Park was always a really nice area,
Yes,
right?
still is,
But
still great,
The
obviously.
Highlands was not always the nicest area, and so as people started to move here, that was one of the first areas that really, started to kind of be
Right.
on the up and coming and became, the term a lot of people like to use is gentrified, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Which some people think is bad. Some people think it's good. It does raise home prices, but then on the other flip side of that, that means that your house is worth more, that, you've built equity.
Yeah.
Of course, it's harder when you rent in those areas.
It is
and I
harder.
believe that area, back in the day was a lot of, hardworking, blue-collared
Yeah.
people. And then, the price of Denver has maybe, moved a lot of that, blue collared workers
Further
further out.
Yes, yeah.
And Highlands is a great area. There's some really great restaurants over there.
Really good restaurants. Little Man Ice Cream, if you haven't been there, that place is awesome.
That's more in the other zip code.
No, I think it's in the Highlands.
Is it considered Highlands? I guess
think
it
so.
could be the very
It's like right across.
right there.
Yeah.
Actually,
I'm pretty sure
I
that's
think
like.
you're right across on the other side of I-25, right
yeah.
there. So I guess Highlands and Sloan's Lake and all that stuff. I would consider that kind of West Denver.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. But the Highlands, I think the Highlands is considered
right there, so-
just on the
Yes,
other side
on
of
the other
25.
side of I-25.
Yeah, and then going west
Right.
from there. But Sloan's Lake, that neighborhood is
Sloan's Lake. You can go kind of like Wash Park. It
Yeah.
has some walkability.
It does. It does,
has
but it's
some-
got a larger lake. So funny story though about Sloan's Lake. So last year, I think it was like last fall or last spring. I think maybe coming off of COVID, so maybe a couple years
Right.
ago. We're there with a family picnic, all of my wife's extended family, and just kind of playing volleyball, hanging out, and so we're walking around, and all of a sudden we see like all these fire trucks and stuff coming, and we're like, "What is going on?" Well, so we walk over to see what's going on, and these people were, I think, kayaking or paddleboarding, and there's like an island that you can kind of paddle out to in the middle of the lake. Well, they didn't tie their craft off. And so the wind,
Their craft?
yeah.
Like
Well,
a
I can't
canoe,
remember. Well,
kayak?
I can't remember
Whatever
if
it was.
it
Okay.
might have been a paddleboard.
Okay.
but
Oh,
I think it was
paddleboard.
I think it was a kayak. But
Okay.
anyway, so the wind blows their kayak off the island and into the middle of the lake, and these people are just stuck in the middle of the island on Sloan's Lake, and they called 911.
I think
So-
you swim. You swim out to it.
Maybe you swim out to it. Not everybody's comfortable with open waters, Miss Iron Man.
Half Iron Man.
Yeah. Anyways, I just thought it was like the funniest thing because like that had to have been the most
Would
embarrassing.
you have done that?
No.
You would have swam.
I don't think I'm maybe have some like pride issues. I don't think I would have been able to call the firemen to come and rescue me.
Everyone
from
would
the.
let you live that down for years.
You could
That-
probably wade across. I don't even know how deep it is. Like,
No, you can't
I don't
wade
know. It's
across
not
Sloan's
like-
Lake because you can have boats on Sloan's Lake.
oh, that's right. They do
Yeah.
the Dragon Boat Festival there,
Yeah,
right?
they do. They do. Well, they used to. I think,
think
they
they
still
still do.
do it. But
Yeah.
yeah, the Dragon Boat Festival's there, and I know I have some friends who used to just water ski there
On Sloan's Lake.
on Sloan's Lake.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever seen anybody
Yeah,
water
I
ski
think-
there.
I'm pretty sure.
So I did
I could
hear
be
though.
wrong,
No, you might be right
but
because
I think so.
I think they allow a limited number of vessels, and there's like a waiting list, and you're not allowed to put your boat in any
Right.
other body of water because they don't want any transfer, of algae or anything like that. So they're very like regulated to
Right.
be able to have your boat
So
out there. But I do remember somebody
There
telling me
are
about
these
that.
like I don't know if they're like clams or snails or whatever, but they stick on your boat and.
Mollusk.
I'm not sure what
Me
they are,
neither.
but
Yeah.
I know that up in Michigan, my husband's from Michigan, and so they have the cleanest, like
Yeah, up north.
bluest
Yeah.
lakes up there. We go to Michigan every year for summer, and they're
Yeah.
beautiful. But there's this little, I don't know, clam or snail or something, but they basically filter the water, but they filter it so well that
Mm-hmm.
it kills like algae and
The stuff that actually keeps the lake healthy as well. So they're
Yes.
like an invasive species.
they're very
correct?
invasive, and so
Yeah.
they've been brought here, I believe, from up north. And
Yeah. Well, and that's why-
I know that in Chatfield they talk about it in Chatfield Lake.
Yeah.
and Cherry Creek, you can't have any motorized.
No, I think you can.
No, can you at Cherry Creek?
Yeah.
I don't think you can.
I'm
Or
pretty
is that
sure.
Aurora? Maybe I'm thinking.
Aurora Reservoir, you cannot.
Aurora Reservoir,
Yeah.
maybe that's
There's a
Aurora.
couple that don't allow motorized,
Right.
but I think Cherry Creek does.
Okay.
Cherry Creek and Chatfield, which, I will say the one downfall of Colorado is the lack of bodies of water
Oh
here.
yes, no water here. If you love water, that is a problem here in Denver.
We've got everything
Yes,
else.
they call them lakes.
They're pretty
They're
small.
ponds.
And there's about 1,000 boats on them
Yes.
during the summer. So I wouldn't recommend buying a boat. It's a waste of money in
I mean,
Colorado.
you come here, I think, for the mountain biking, the hiking, the
Skiing.
sunshine, the skiing.
Yes, there's so
Yes.
many good things.
But-
I would just say though that is the one
the-
thing
that
that I
we're
do
missing
miss.
is
We
water.
we still do some water stuff though. We've done some floats down rivers and
Yes.
we do some paddleboarding out at Chatfield.
We paddleboarded last year down
through
Deckers,
Deckers,
when
yeah.
the water was high, and it was Father's Day, and we had some mishaps, some gashes
was-
and
okay,
legs.
so-
It was very fast. So
That typical trip, especially as you get later in the summer, the
Yeah.
South Platte sometimes runs pretty low,
Right.
and so inner tube or something usually is
Is the best.
I remember I've done it, and I've had to pick up my paddleboard because there was not enough water.
Right.
Like I literally
To
had to
get
pick it
the
up and
fin
walk across.
yes.
Yeah, well, I didn't even have a fin. It just didn't even
Oh.
have enough water to lift me up off of the. So there was so much rain last year that it was flowing like.
was it rain or was the snow melt?
Well,
It
snow
was
melt and rain. I
crazy.
mean, I felt like
Yeah.
it rained the whole month of June. Remember,
Right.
it was just such a wet summer. But it was very eventful for the casual float that was expected on Father's
I
Day.
think my husband lost a paddleboard. Couple people hitchhiked back to our
Yes,
to our
we had a-
exit spot, and one person didn't quite make it.
There was some.
and,
Somebody got cut up on their leg
Yeah,
pretty good,
yeah.
and yeah. But you know who did the best were the two high school girls who were in their little inner tubes tied together.
tied together.
They did
floating.
fine.
Yeah.
Everybody
well,
else. Was,
I think you had to rescue them because
I did.
Started to, you
Well,
know,
they
you
were
had to
gonna-
pull them out. Yeah.
Well, they were just going to keep on going past the point of
Right.
where we were supposed to get
Right.
out and had our recovery vehicle. But yeah, I did help them get out, but they were fine. Like it was more the people trying to be on the paddle boards that had a harder time.
Right. Yeah. Which when we do it this year, maybe we'll do inner tubes.
Well,
Yeah.
we'll just have to see
We'll
how
have
much
to
water.
see, with the water.
Yeah. It is a fun time. That is you go down through Sedalia and into Deckers,
Exactly.
and the South Platte down there is just
Right.
wonderful.
It's
yeah.
great.
There's so many recreational opportunities here in Colorado. There is some water, but not a
There's
ton.
also what's the float that people do in Golden.
Oh yeah, right down Clear Creek.
Yeah, is that Clear
yeah.
Creek Canyon?
Yeah, and I mean that's you just kind of
That's a
can
great
walk
one.
up and
Yes.
float
and they
down and
actually
walk
have
back
a
up.
float to work day.
They
down there,
do,
which is
yeah, and they also have
Golden High School. I went to Golden High School.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway.
They also have like a kayaking course down through town right there in Golden where you have to like go through the slaloms of the kayak course and stuff. So that's pretty cool as well.
So I guess those for the most expensive, just to kind of get us back on track.
Oh, yeah, we should probably try to get back on track.
Denver, there's also some great Denver areas that are not the most expensive. So
That's
we
right.
have always said that we love the southwest corner, Harvey Park
Harvey
area
Park,
is
yeah.
a great area.
Yeah.
That I think,
And I believe
we've had some friends live there.
Yeah, and I believe that is in the census tract that I have my community lending program
yes,
in.
we
So I think we talked about that on
Yes.
a previous podcast. But this program, because they want to get more homeowners into these areas, right? Because that's going to help reinvigorate the neighborhoods.
Yes.
I've been seeing about a half a point better than market rates
That's
for that
great.
program. So you can get in on a little more affordable of a neighborhood and save yourself a half a point on interest rates.
Right.
That makes a big difference when you're looking in the market and trying to qualify with a certain payment.
Right.
So
Great. That's
yeah.
great. So if you are looking to move in the Denver area, call Patrick and see about that community.
Community lending. Yeah. And it's great. I can look up specific areas and tell you what's available in that area. Or I can, if you're like interested in a specific property, I can look it up that way.
And I think
tell
that
you.
we, in that previous, I can't remember if it was 1 or 2 podcasts ago, but there is a map on that.
There is a
maybe
map.
we could
That's
stick
correct.
that map back up
Yeah.
on here if you're
I
watching
bet we
it
could
on
make that
YouTube.
happen.
And then also, we had talked about Rhino, right? Back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
It was River North, but now it's Rhino, which
Well,
sounds
if you live
cooler.
in Denver, everything has to be a 4-letter acronym.
Right.
Right. Like lower
Lodo.
downtown, Lodo, River North,
Rhino.
Hilo.
Hilo.
Yeah. So, no, River North is a really cool area. I mean,
They're
I
building
just-
a lot. They bought up where Elitch's used to be. And so I think they're going to turn that all into condos and housing. But
where Elitch's is now? Is that what you're
yeah,
talking
but
about?
I guess they're
That's
gonna,
not Rhino, though.
That's technically not Rhino, but I think
I did hear that they were looking to
Right.
move Elitch's out of downtown and use that space because it's kind of just right in between
Right.
Mile High Stadium and Ball Arena.
Ball Arena.
Also, as people might still say, Pepsi Center.
Pepsi Center,
Yeah,
that's what
but
I
I'm
remember.
doing better
Yeah.
at calling it Ball Arena. But they want to create just a great area in between those two
Right.
with shops and parks and open space and I think even like apartments
yeah,
and things like
some
that. So it'll
condos
be
or
cool.
apartments. We're not
But
sure.
I think it's a pretty big development. They're
Right.
talking like 10, 12 years.
Is Rhino considered the art district, or are they considered different?
So the
You know,
art district,
which we go to, which we have gone to.
So, but-
for
okay, so there's-
dinner and yeah, but
there's
right.
River
Well, I
North.
guess there's the art district. So Rhino's just a little bit east.
so River North, I think they consider it is like an art, but it's not the
Yeah.
art district. I think of the art district as Santa Fe,
Right.
south of downtown, right in that area because they do there's a lot of different art exhibits and
Right.
different things like that.
Listen
and
to
they
us. We've been here since 80s and 90s, and we're still like, because they've renamed everything.
Well, and you know what?
We should
A
know.
lot has changed in our city over the last 20 years.
Right.
I mean, it's really. I saw a picture of the downtown, like all the skyscrapers and
Right.
everything, and from like the early 2000s to today, it looks completely different. Yeah, but
we've-
River North though, you can go down there. It's more like street art. It's actually really cool.
It's really cool.
right. Like there's a lot of graffiti artists, and they actually do a festival. So I think that's probably
Yes.
what you're thinking of, where you can go through. We went down there, and there was actually people painting, and
Right.
and you can grab some Lime scooters and have a little tour of all the back alleyways that are all painted, and really cool area if you haven't checked it out.
Well, I've checked it out. My daughter actually had my oldest daughter, she had her senior pictures down there.
Oh,
so yeah,
that's a good idea. I
Yeah,
like that.
They were great pictures for something different than the tree.
I don't think my kids are as edgy enough to have like graffiti in their senior photo background.
It's pretty cool, actually.
It actually,
So,
yeah, I bet it is.
So then I think, did you have one mortgage update for us?
Well, I thought I would just kind of talk about interest rates and what
What's going on with
seeing.
interest rates?
So
That's always a big question that we get. What are
it
interest
is.
rates?
Yeah, and right now they're really volatile. Unfortunately, there's a lot of talk about the Fed and what they're going to do. And I think right now the Fed is going to kind of stand pat with where rates are today. Everybody's expecting them to start dropping rates, but I don't think we're going to see that until June at the earliest. But each report that comes out, if with a stronger economy and better jobs, lets the Fed sit where they're at and not have to start decreasing rates. So thankfully, we did get PCE coming in, which is the Fed's favorite inflation gauge, and that came in as expected. So that was good because
What is PCE?
PCE is what is it?
Is it
it's like personal expenditures.
Okay.
So it kind of measures. I think it keeps fuel. Some of the more
But it's
volatile
a
measures.
that
Yeah.
the Fed watches.
It's their favorite one, and because it does exclude the more volatile like housing and fuel, because rents and fuel fluctuate so much that this is a better barometer of what inflation is actually doing, and that's why it's their favorite gauge.
And so I guess that is kind of a different prediction than what we had at the beginning of the year. We thought that rates were going to go down probably right about now.
Well, they were.
Or we were
they
hoping.
They were
We were
trending in that direction initially because everything was kind of starting to. We peaked in October and we were headed downwards. But as jobs reports came out strong and the economy has been resilient, the Fed has kind of said, "Look, we don't need to lower rates because." Job creation is still there. We're still seeing the economy as strong as ever. And so we don't need to lower rates. So like I've said before, sometimes bad news for the economy is good news for interest rates because they want to see some cracks starting to form before they start lowering their Fed funds rate. So we are still expecting 3 cuts this year. Hopefully we'll see one, June, September, December, and that'll help rates come down as we go through the year.
I think we've seen though that this, even though the interest rates are still kind of staying steady, that as far as real estate has picked up a little bit. And so still not as far as buyers are concerned. I think there are more houses coming on the market. So there's still great opportunity for buyers and sellers to get on the market, get out there. If you're thinking about moving, move. Don't wait to list your house. And if you're thinking about buying, I would suggest not waiting for interest rates. You can get better deals currently now than you can, when interest rates drop, and there are thousands.
There are a lot of people sitting on the
buyers.
sidelines. That's
Correct.
right. There are a lot of people sitting on the sidelines still that are waiting for rates to come down. And I think once we hit, at low 6s, high 5s, it's going to be,
I think anything
all
5,
on.
you're going to see craziness.
So what I like to tell people is to marry the house and date the rate. So you find a house that you love, let's get you in there if you can qualify, and then at the mortgage company, we'll waive any lender fees associated with doing a refinance down the road. So you can get in now, take advantage of more of a buyer's market, because as soon as we get into those lower rates, it's definitely going to be a seller's advantage. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So if you're a buyer, don't wait, as we have been saying, I think since the beginning.
We're already seeing, we have been seeing that, but we're already starting to see more people coming into the market just with the rates coming down the little bit that they have. We're definitely off the highs that we saw last fall. That's for sure.
Yes. So that's great. Well, hey, thanks for the update. We
Absolutely.
really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And if you guys like this podcast or know anyone who is thinking about buying or selling a house or need mortgage help, you should tell them to listen to Broker Banner Denver.
Yeah, if you find any value or know somebody who would, please share us. Give us a like. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes.
Yes. All right. See you next week.
Have a good one.